Last time,
our heroes meet the dragonborn people of the ancient dwarven city. They agree to help the people if it means that they will be able to help Galaxy, Mimi, and Dave get back home. The gang helps by hunting down a basilisk that has been causing problems with the people's pigs. Returning the basilisk's body to the villagers, they encounter a younger version of their friend Jed.
What do you get if you cross a pig with a dinosaur? Jurassic Pork!
Dungeons and Dragons and Daughters!
welcome everyone to another delicious episode of Dungeons and Dragons and Daughters.
And nutritious.
Nutritious, yes. It's
Are you gonna bacon tonight?
it's recommended for a balanced podcasting diet. I am Kurt, Daddy the Dungeon Master, and to my left we have
Sam.
who plays
Mimi.
the Elf Druid, and to your left we have
Don't say my name. Birdie Galaxy, the Elf Wizard.
thank you, and to your left we have Aaron joining us again.
Everybody's favorite
Favorite halfling cleric,
Yes. Surfer Boy.
playing Dave.
Yes.
Surfer boy.
Dave, Surfer Boy Deb.
All right. Should we play D&D? Okay. Girls, do you remember what happened? Oh, wait. Dang it. We can't play D&D yet. I got to do one housekeeping item. We got a new 5-star review on iTunes from folks. And I just want to take a moment to say thanks to everybody that continues to listen to us and download our show. I know that we don't release episodes on as a regular basis as other shows do, but that's because real life gets in the way. The girls have school, and I want to keep this fun for them and not turn it into a job. So we sit down and we play and we have fun. We record it. We hope everyone has fun listening and continues to listen. So thank you for your patience and sticking with us, and hope you have a great time in listening to the story and adventures that we do.
And we hope you had a good summer.
Oh, and last night my dad told me
Keep in touch. Okay, so the 5-star review that we got, titled Sword Coast Surfin' by Mr. Toasty. This podcast rolls a natural 20 on charm, entertainment, and creativity. I find myself enjoying every session and can't help but get wrapped up in this world and its characters, which are taken just seriously enough to be engaging, with more than a dose of lighthearted antics to keep things fun. The only negative thing I have to say is that there just aren't enough episodes, although I'd probably say that no matter what, I applaud this show with 2 enthusiastic mage hands, and may the chips and salsa be overflowing. Really good
Thank
review.
you. And chips and salsa must be overflowing.
During downtime, I'm also going
Thank
to
you.
give
That's
you a
like one of
5-star
my
review.
favorite comments
But
that
not on
someone
iTunes
said.
because I don't.
That's like my favorite comment.
That's fine.
That's my
That was
favorite
a verbal
comment.
one. Verbal 5 stars right there.
My favorite comment.
All right, so now,
Said that I forgot your name already. I'm sorry.
let's play it. Now, let's play D&D.
Wait. I have to use the bathroom.
No, you don't. You just went. All right. So, girls, last time we left off at a little bit of a cliffhanger. We always leave off at a cliffhanger. I try to anyway. So we killed the basilisk, and we brought it back to Greethen, who led us to the town's butcher. But it was the middle of the night. He woke up the butcher, and the butcher that answered the door was
Can I answer?
Yes.
Young Jed.
Jed, a young Jed, 7.5 foot, very tall. He looks thinner. He looks younger than what you remembered last time seeing Jed. He's rubbing the sleep from his eyes because it's the middle of the night that Greethen had woke him up.
I say to young Jed, is your name young Jed?
No, is your name Jed?
He says, "My name is Pan Jed.
How
old
do you
are
like
you?
being called Jed?
You can call me Jed if you like."
Were you in jail at some point?
He gives you a look, not comprehending the question and what you're actually
your
getting
friend
at.
from the future.
You're going to be in
He's going to lay it out there, huh?
Make
sure you go to jail.
He rubs his eyes again and shakes his head like he's still waking up, and he
I'm your friend.
and he
from the
turns to
future.
Greethen.
I went through a portal to took me back in time.
He's ignoring you at this point, and he says,
Come on, I'm speaking at my vocals.
Greethen, does this need to be done now? And Greethen says, yes, it needs to be done right away. We need to get the basilic's stomach out if we have any chance of making the potion to turn stone back into flesh.
Stone.
And Jed nods his head. He's like, all right. That's not Jed's voice. He says, all right. And he comes out. He ducks underneath the door a little bit because his horns would scrape the frame of the door as he goes through. And he comes out, grabs hold of the ropes of the basilisk, and he starts pulling the dead body into his house. And he says, I will have it ready by morning. And he shuts the door. What do you do?
I just don't even think, and I just break down the door.
Why do you you're going to break down the door?
Yes.
Okay, roll a strength
Hold on.
check for me.
I'm gonna kick that. No, I'm gonna punch the door.
Okay, roll a strength check for me.
I'm terrible at strength. I'm very weak. So if I get a 14, almost a natural 20 is on the same side.
It's a 4. Wait, what's your strength modifier?
Oh no, I mean 15.
You have a +1 strength modifier? You're a wizard. You have a +1 strength?
Yeah.
My gosh.
Is that pretty good?
That is pretty good. But so you kick the door, and it shakes and rattles inside of its frame, but it doesn't break down.
Dang it.
And that's when you hear some commotion on the other side of the door, and Jed opens up the door, and
Hide!
he looks at you sternly. He's like, "What are you doing?"
What's up, cookies? It's Oreos? And then I come out and I say, she was trying to kick down your door.
Why?
Because I don't know how to knock. And I wanted to ask if you want some Oreos.
And he grabs the bridge of his nose and exhales deeply. He's like, look, I have a lot of work to do before
Oreos
morning.
help. They make you hungry.
I suggest that you go get some sleep because I'm not going to get any because of you.
Okay, goodbye. Thank you. Oh, bye. Bye, Twerp.
He slams the door.
Bye, baby. Bye. Bye. Wait a minute. We could be changing the future. He might not like us then.
Greethen says to you, you can stay at my place tonight if you like.
Yes. Yeah. Can I see Heather's?
It's the middle of the night right now. She's sleeping.
Oh, in the morning I need to.
Okay. So Greethen leads you back to the farm, back to his little hut. It's only like a 2-room small building on the side of the mushroom farm. But there's enough room in the living room / kitchen / entryway / family room / study.
That's everything.
Yeah.
Great room.
/ great room. And he clears off the room a bit to make room in the middle of the floor for you to roll your bedrolls out into.
I roll my sleeping bag that has a little cloud sleeping on it.
I'm excited to taste these mushrooms. Have we done that yet?
You have not tasted the mushrooms, but last time you remember them not looking very appetizing. It was one of the problems with the people here in this village is that the only food that they can grow on a regular basis is stuff that doesn't require sunlight, which is a lot of mushrooms and algae and other weird sort of slimy type of stuff. So it doesn't look very appetizing, but no one has tried them. So you definitely can if you want.
Yeah.
And there are lots of mushrooms that are in Greethen's little hut.
Then I tell Greethen, Surfer Boy would really like to try some mushrooms that may be poisonous.
I don't think
Is
I
it-
specified poisonous.
You don't know how to speak? You know how to
I
Surfer
don't know how
Boy?
to speak?
Yeah, you
This is going to make it difficult.
You don't know how to speak Draconic.
Oh, that
And
part.
we can
Yeah.
only do it so.
But Galaxy does know a spell that she can cast on you that lets you understand it, but you still won't be able to speak it.
Yeah, so you can't. It's a comprehend languages.
It is comprehend languages.
Oh, I didn't pick that.
Wait, no. I'm sorry, not comprehend languages. It's
Tungus.
It's tongues.
Tungus.
I
Tungus.
call it Tungus.
Yep, Tungus
Yes.
is the spell.
It's because you're guessing what's on someone's tongue, right? Mm-hmm. That's how you
Tongue
understand.
guess.
Tungus. And then you have him speak Pig Latin.
Yes, you have them speak Pig Latin.
So Greethen says, "It's if you're hungry, there are plenty of mushrooms here. Help yourself." And he goes into the other room and shuts the door to sleep for the rest of the night.
And then I pull out my cloud sleeping sleeping bag.
Your sleeping bag with sleeping clouds on top of it?
No, yeah, I have little clouds that are sleeping on it. And then I pull out my face mask and they go.
You have a face mask?
the cloud.
A cloud face.
I have the best stuff. So I first get my PJs on. The unicorn PJs with the hood. I get my unicorn sleep mask on. I get my unicorn slippers on. I roll up my unicorn sleeping bag. And then,
Sensing a theme.
Yeah.
And then I take out my unicorn pillow. No, stuffed animal. And my rainbow pillow.
Rainbow pillow, not a unicorn pillow.
You have to write all that
All right,
down
well,
here.
I take out my
I do?
sleeping bag with
Yeah.
hops on it, and trying to think of alcohol themes.
Oh, yes, and
A whiskey pillow.
Whiskey pillow, yeah, mash. It's stuffed with some type of mash or whatnot they use.
Okay.
And yeah, my sleeping mask looks like beer goggles. And yeah, I also eat 3 mushrooms before sleeping. Yeah,
They aren't the worst things that you've ever had, but they're big mushrooms. And yeah, they're fine.
they're big.
Yeah.
So I would be very full eating 3. Maybe I wouldn't.
Well,
eat 3.
yeah, if you ate 3, then you probably would have got your hands on some smaller ones.
Okay.
Then. But so yeah, so there's a variety of different sizes. They
Gotcha.
go to a regular size mushroom to some that are 2 feet in diameter.
Wow, like a loaf of bread mushroom.
Yep. The following morning, you get woken up by some movement that's coming from the other room of where Greethen seems to have been roused in the morning. And he opens the door from his bedroom and he comes out. And he is dressed and he sees that the 3 of you are awake.
I'm still in my pajamas.
Sure. You're still in your pajamas, yep.
Yeah, I just got the steam. I'm just holding
Do you still
my
have your
stuff.
face mask on, but it's just like up resting on your forehead
Yeah,
right
and
now?
I just cuddling my unicorn plushies. Like, what are you doing here?
So
Okay.
he looks at you for a second, and he looks you from head to toe. Cocks his head a little bit, shakes it, and then says, "We have to get going.
I need
This-
to see Hethris.
Hethris will be at the council
I need
meeting.
to see her now.
Hethris will be at the council meeting.
I'm putting all my unicorn stuff.
And if you speak
in
to me
my
like that again,
unicorn
you can
bag.
sleep outside in the dark."
Yes.
What's happening? You guys sound angry.
Sorry, I'm just really tired. I didn't get enough sleep.
It's all right. It's understandable.
Did someone take my unicorn backpack?
No. Wait, you have a unicorn backpack? Since when do you have a unicorn backpack? Since she just wrote it down into her inventory.
It sounds uncomfortable.
It does sound uncomfortable.
Corn.
Smells like marshmallows. It has a big unicorn on it.
It smells like marshmallows.
It has the butt of a unicorn on it.
Which everyone knows smells like marshmallow.
And it has unicorn hair on for like a little cozy. But I put all my stuff in my
That was
bag.
made
Now,
out of.
did you kill a unicorn to make this thing? Because that would be a very bad thing. Because unicorns are magical, good creatures.
No. The unicorn was he wanted to have a bald head, so he
She went to a unicorn barbershop and like just got the trimmings.
shaved it, and I took the hair and made my backpack. But what about his butt?
Oh.
It's a butt
Oh, one of the unicorns died, and I just cut the butt off.
Why not?
And I put the butt on there. It's good cushioning when I'm sitting. It actually goes onto my butt.
Well, I think I just came up with a new nickname for Galaxy. There. Butt cutter.
So Greethen leads you out of his house to the town council meeting, where Hethris is going to be, and all of you are continuing to discuss the logistics of making a unicorn backpack
And butt cutter.
and how you would have to cut the butts off of unicorns to get a unicorn butt backpack, and figuring out how to do that in a way that would not make you a morally evil person.
Right.
No, because it's already dead. I didn't kill it.
No, that's what I mean. It's like that's what you discuss. It's like because you would never kill a live unicorn because they're a magical good creature.
Right.
Would she? No.
I don't think so. She's her character is lawful good. Although I'm starting to think that we should change that to chaotic good. There's not a whole lot of lawful with the way that you two play your characters.
The character arc.
No.
So, Greethen leads you back into town, further into the very tall stone buildings that is in this old ancient dwarven city. You're surrounded by the light that comes from the green water or the mountain dew. And you can see that there's a couple of more dragonborn that are coming in from other areas of the city and are moving towards this one building. And you do notice that this time, Greethen or any other dragonborn did not tell you to cover up. They didn't tell you to pull your cloaks up. And so, other dragonborn that see you as you're walking in, they are openly gaping at you as you walk into this large stone building.
Mostly Dave.
I tell the guy who's like taking us there, should we put up our cloaks?
If that would make you feel more comfortable, but it's going to come out in just a few minutes anyway. So,
I put my cloak out.
okay.
I just shimmy it.
All right. So are you trying to be inconspicuous? Do you want to try and...
I'm saying to myself, I'm invisible. No one can see me.
So you're trying to be stealthy? Do you want to roll a stealth check for me?
Sure. A 14.
You got a 14. Okay.
You're okay at it.
All right, so you put your cloak on, you hunch down a little bit, and you actually start positioning yourself behind Galaxy and behind Dave, which doesn't work out real well because Dave only comes up to like your hips. And then also behind Greethen as well to try and best cover yourself. You're not sure if it is working that great because there are still, every now and again, someone that's still gaping in your direction, but they could be looking at Galaxy or Dave. But so far, it seems like that you are less conspicuous than your adventuring partners.
And I think I'm invisible. I think no one can totally see me.
Yeah, you think you're super invisible.
And so I'm just like,
That would make you more conspicuous if you start dancing while you think you're invisible.
I think I'm invisible, so I'm just kind of.
So you're not stealthing anymore. You're actively drawing attention to yourself. Okay.
Yes, I am doing dance moves.
Okay, so you move into Greethen. Greethen brings you into the building, and there's not as many people in here as you would have expected, but that is par for the course of this town. Is that this is an old ancient dwarven city, and anything that you've encountered with the Dragonborn, the people here just isn't adding up. These are people that there's far too people to be living in this city. The food that they have access to, they don't have access to enough food, and everything just doesn't fit quite right. And even in this building that you're in, so it's a fairly large room that you're in, and you see that Tarhoon is standing up at the front with another silver dragonborn. This other dragonborn appears to be younger, and he's dressed in furs, and he has a spear in his hand. He looks very stereotypical, like a warrior type dragonborn. And there is a number of other dragonborn that are milling about, maybe a dozen or so of varying colors, but one thing that you do notice is that there is no red dragonborns. There are no gold dragonborns that are in the crowd, but all the other colors are represented here. Because as you found out last time, was that any of the red and gold dragonborns were taken by the fire giant and his dreadnoughts to work as dreadnoughts and to serve the fire giants. So there's just not that many people that are here, and once you get inside, Greethen actually breaks off from you, and he goes up to the front, and he stands with Tarhoon and this other silver dragonborn.
I look for Heatheris.
Heatheris is in the crowd.
I go sit back
Okay.
and I say, Heatheris, I'm going to talk to you about something.
So there aren't any benches or even like stones or anything like that to sit on. It's like but there are some furs that have been laid out, some rugs that you can sit down on the floor.
I sit on her.
You sit on her?
I sit
Bye.
Oh, by her. Okay. All right, so you go over by Hethris, and when she sees you coming, she sort of scoots out of the way to make room for the group, and she pats the fur next to her for you to sit.
When this meeting is over, I need to talk to you about something very perfect.
Okay. They're about to begin. And at the front, Tarhoon has a wooden staff that he starts banging on the stone ground. Boom, boom, boom. And everyone quiets down, although they were kind of quiet to begin with. There wasn't a whole lot of talking going on. These Dragonborn people in this particular town are not the most jovial lots. There's not a whole lot of conversation that was happening, and not a whole lot of catching up that they feel like that they need to do with each other. So, but this causes everyone to sit down, and Tarhoon raises his hands up to address the people. And he says, "My friends, we have been joined by 3 heroes."
Hey, what is he saying?
Hey, don't you need like one hero? There's only one. He said we're gonna execute Surfer Boy today.
I gotta go.
Roll an insight check for me. Let's see if you believe her.
All right.
And actually, Galaxy, you roll a deception check.
I hope I get high. Right?
What'd you get for your
Yeah,
insight?
24.
24? Okay.
Yeah.
I got 3.
You got 3.
Hero.
So Galaxy tells you that they're going to execute you. But she's like, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
All right.
And then, but he believes her.
But yeah, you can't understand anything that's being said up front right
exactly.
So you're like, oh.
I would appreciate knowing what they're saying if anyone has the ability to help me with that.
Sorry. I don't have. I can't. I don't. I kind of.
I'm all out. Sorry, I can't help
now.
you.
You didn't pick the tongue spell?
Oh yes, I did. But don't do it. Don't.
It sounds like she needs to roll deception again.
Don't do
I'm not
it.
telling her what to roll.
Yeah, right,
That's
yeah.
not my
Bernie,
job.
It's fine.
don't roll it because then he will understand.
Well, you don't have to roll anything. You just cast it.
No.
No, she was saying she doesn't have it to me.
Oh,
That's
okay.
why I said
Okay,
I
yep.
was joking that she has to
Roll another deception check then.
I got a 17.
17? All right.
Look,
Dave, you want to roll another insight
All
check to
right.
see if you believe her?
I got a 15.
58, okay.
But I got
She had the spell yesterday. You know that. But somehow you believe her
All right.
that for whatever reason, since yesterday, she no longer has the spell.
Okay, well, I expect the cliff notes after this.
It takes a lot of power for that, even though it's only a level 1 spell.
Sure, I don't understand your magic. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, level 1 is actually the hardest. Wink, wink. Another deception.
Another deception check.
I got 14.
Now you have to insight.
Sure,
again?
why not?
All right. Oh, I got 16.
Oh.
So she bald-faced lie, then maybe she's telling the truth, then another bald-faced lie.
Yeah.
And you still believe her.
Maybe. It's up to you. It's
Yeah,
just like, this is
yeah.
just the feeling that you get from
Yeah.
your intuition.
Right. Clearly, I'm not going to be understanding this. So later, you'll have to tell me what was said.
So-
I'm gonna execute you. I'm not lying.
No.
Wink, wink.
So Tarhoon continues on, but because Dave can't understand, so you see a lot of... I want to tell this from Dave's perspective then. So you see a lot of posturing that's up there, and Tarhoon makes some grand gestures at the 3 of you sitting in the crowd, and people start murmuring and nodding their heads and looking at each other wide-eyed. And
So
Then
far,
I raise my hand and I say, "Can we get in Draconic? Can we get Surfer Boy wants to get executed? Can we execute Surfer Boy?"
do you want to roll a persuasion for me? But do it with disadvantage.
and I'm just looking like this at Galaxy.
Like, everyone is staring at me. And then I tell Dave, she's trying to make them not execute you.
I guess I guess for the podcast, I should say I'm looking at her very afraid and skeptical.
A natural 20!
No,
Disadvantage.
oh wait, natural 20 and a 9?
Yeah.
Okay, you picked the 9. That's what you picked the lower of the two.
No.
Why are you constantly trying to kill Dave? I'm starting to think that you two are the villains of this story, not the heroes.
Right. I mean,
Well, we're
is there a way that someone could be lawful good but evil because they
Lawful
they
evil.
Well, no. I mean, from their perspective, they're good, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
So, but a lawful evil
Everybody's-
person would think that they're good.
Exactly.
From their
So,
perspective.
yeah, everyone's the hero in their own
like in
mind,
this,
right?
I forget what movie.
Well, the scale of alignment is supposed to be objective.
Yeah.
So,
can you
someone that's lawful
describe-
evil may think that they are good, but they're still lawful evil.
Right. All right.
So I like the idea of telling the story from Dave's perspective because he has no idea what's going on because
Yeah.
his friend and partner
just smiling.
refuses to help
I'm
in
just
any way.
Smiling and nodding.
Yep.
And unless Galaxy's speaking, then I look very worried.
And so then the Silverborn Dragonborn that's up there with Tarhoon, he's got his spear and he looks very stern and scowly and looking at you, and he's bangs his spear on the ground and he says some stuff to Tarhoon, and Tarhoon like nods and like listens to this silver dragonborn for a little bit patiently, and then Tarhoon motions to someone in the back, and this is when no, this is when Jed walks in carrying a old wooden box,
Jed!
and Jed he's tired. He's like he looks dirty and he's got some blood on his clothing from the butchering that he was doing during the night.
I put my cloak on
But you put your okay. Why?
because I feel scared.
Okay. All right.
Or I
I
didn't turn into a
actually,
cute bunny.
from what I'm seeing
No,
and the
I-
stern nature of the
we're
other
done
Dragonborn gesturing, I am actually starting to get worried and doubting whether or not.
That you'll actually be executed.
Right. Like, what is he bringing in the box? What's in the box?
And so
What about the execution?
So Jed walks in, and Jed is a very tall dragonborn. He's almost a full head taller than anybody else in the room. So he's a tall guy. So he comes forward, and all the eyes are on Jed as he walks in. And he comes up and he holds the box out to this silver dragonborn, and he looks at Jed suspiciously and at the box. But he takes the box and he opens it, and his eyes get really big, and then he looks up at the three of you, and then he runs over to Dave,
And I'm cowering at this point.
and he picks you up and gives you a big bear hug. And he says some things.
I think he's like going to crush me.
And it's a hard hug
Yeah,
too. It's
yeah.
really strong.
Did I say, that's how you execute people?
We smother them to death.
Oh, we call it the hug of silence.
So, but after a moment, he puts you down, and he has tears of joy in his eyes, and he slaps you on the shoulder, really hard, but in an affectionate, like camaraderie type of way
I'm
that makes you
definitely
like
knocked
slump
prone.
down a little bit each time he
Right.
hits your shoulder. And
He probably has to reach pretty far down to even.
well, yeah, he's like 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so he can reach. Yeah, he can reach down without a problem. But he's still got the box in his hand, and he stops hitting you on the shoulder, and he holds the box up in the air, and he cheers, and everybody else around him cheers
And
as
then
well.
drops it. He's taller than me!
Then he goes back up to it, and he shakes Tarhoon's hand, and they seem to find some sort of agreement between the two of them. And that's when Greethen starts saying some words up there. So the farmer, whose house that you stayed at last night, he starts saying some words that are a little quieter but measured.
I can understand.
You can understand it,
Tungus.
but I like.
I cast Tungus on Dave.
And now you
Now,
cast tongues
yeah.
on
Yeah,
Dave.
I didn't
But
want to hear this.
did I notice you doing that, or do I just
No.
So
And then
suddenly
you
I
just-
just understand them,
You're
and I'm
like,
like,
I'm magical.
oh, I've been listening to
So-
this long enough. I can.
I suddenly understand Draconic.
Right,
It's
right.
finally sinking in. So you would start to feel some magic
Okay.
coming on top of you. Roll a perception check for me. Let's see if you can catch Galaxy casting this spell.
I've got a 13.
13. Galaxy, can you roll a stealth for me?
Yeah.
We'll do a contest between you two.
I got a 20. Not unnatural 20.
All right, so
You don't see me.
so you don't see Galaxy casting the spell, but so you're watching, trying to follow this conversation happening in this foreign language, and you feel this magic starting.
Is this about the
To
time
settle
when,
across.
when he hits me on the shoulder?
No, he's already gone back up
All right,
with
darn.
Tarhoon.
I was hoping I could infer that.
So you don't know what's going on. It's like suddenly you're feeling this magic come over you. You can try and resist it if you want to, but you have no idea where this magic is coming
And I
from.
don't know what the nature of it is either.
No.
I think I'll let it be for
Okay.
the time being, but I'm definitely on alert.
Okay.
Considering all of the events and what she has said.
Right.
I just go in front of you and go, woo.
No, you don't. No, you don't, because he would notice that. He doesn't notice you casting the spell at him.
I know, but it'd just be funny just seeing him just like, what?
So Dave, you feel this magic starting to come over you, and you're like, okay, let's see what happens. And you let it go, and the magic settles into you, and you can feel it seep into you. And then as you are listening to the conversation, all of a sudden, the words do start making sense to you. And now you can start following the conversation. You hear Greethen say to Tarhoon, saying, "It's great that we have these heroes here now, and they have helped our friend Patron. Patron will now be able to restore his daughter back to life. But if we send them to the other side of the mountain, more than likely they will be killed. So before we do that, I feel like that we should get some more help from them before we send them on this fool's errand.
What?
I think to prove their worth and value, they should take back the sunlight for us. That way we can start farming again for true under the mountain."
And then I stand up and say, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm not gonna get killed here.
So Tarhoon, he looks a little frazzled by this. And he says to Greethen, the heroes, they've killed the monster, the basilisk. They have saved Patron's daughter. Do you really think that they need to prove themselves further to help us? And Greethen says, well, again, if we send them on their way, even the great Gerald and his friends could not take down Zelane the fire giant on the other side of the mountain. If we send them over there, more than likely we will never see them again. I say before we do that, we get them to help us out with this immediate problem here, and it will further prove to us that they may be able to accomplish the mission on the other side of the mountain. That is, of course, if they are willing and they think that they are able, because it's a much smaller task compared to trying to take down a fire giant.
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Are you saying that I can do this? You know what? Challenge
calling me
accepted. Challenge accepted.
And Greethen looks very pleased with himself after you say that. And Tarhoon, he crosses his arms in front of his chest. He's like, he doesn't like the way that this is going. And he looks at the three of you and he's like, my friends, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. As far as I'm concerned, you've done everything that you need to do to prove your goodness and your worth. But
Called me a chicken.
But I do have to admit, if you were able to do this for us, it would help out our people tremendously.
Even if we don't come back, you'll still... It will be better.
So Tarhoon, he nods. He's like, all right, it's agreed then. So, the three adventurers, they will get the sunlight back for us.
Woohoo!
And then, in return, we will send a guide with them to lead them to the other side of the mountain, where they should be able to find some magical items in Zelane's treasure hoard that will help them get back home and should also help us break our chains of bondage away from the fire giant.
Wait, okay, I called Tiny Ginger and said, go to Mount Olympus and say to Betha, do you have any more food?
Wait, does Tiny Ginger can speak?
No.
I missed that. Okay.
No, I'm gonna give you a note to give to Beth, to give to Doc, saying that we are in danger.
Nope. You have no ways of contacting Mount Olympus. However,
Yeah, I
once
can
you
send Henry Ginger with a note, and then he can deliver it to
I
me.
feel like that would take a while.
yeah, and however, Zelane, the fire giant on the other side of the mountain, he seems to have the people here are convinced that he has a lot of powerful magical artifacts and items, and they are convinced that if you can get over there and get into that, you should be able to find something to either help you get home and or help you communicate back with Olympus.
And if there isn't,
You don't know.
I,
Oh, you're gonna beat him up if there isn't.
I could cast Zone of Truth to find out if you really want it.
yes,
But that means you guys also have to be honest. Dude, what do you think, Galaxy?
do the spell. Do the spell. I want to see the truth. I want to tell the truth. You're my sidekick.
Sacrifice Mimi.
It's all about sacrifice today.
Yeah, someone's gotta die.
Right.
I am your leader. I decide who the sacrifice is.
Well,
Dave.
but to reiterate, based off of the way that this council meeting had went with Greethen now saying that he wants to get a little something extra out of you guys, is that they won't show you how to even get over to the other side of the mountain until you do this
Right.
additional task.
Yep. I guess we might as well get to it.
And Tarhun, he looks satisfied. He looks happy. He's like, okay, there. All right, you're prepared. Panjed will lead you to the light.
Thank you, Pen.
And
Will
you
we
look
be,
you look over at Jed, and his mouth is slightly open, and he's surprised by this. And
I
he's-
forget how old does Jed look.
He looks like
27.
he looks like a teenager.
Okay.
Because he's much thinner than last time you remember seeing him. So he's like all elbows and knees right now, but he's already grown to his full height, and he still looks very strong. It's just he has not filled out at
Sure.
all.
Okay.
So, but Jed looks surprised that he has now been volunteered to lead you to the light area after he's been up all night doing this butchering and preparing whatever it was that was in that box that he handed over to the Silver Dragonborn.
Thank you, Jed. We support
He's
you.
like, are you serious?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I give Jed 5 pieces of gold.
And he looks at the gold in his hand. He looks at you, and he's like, "What is this for?"
What if
I'm
you
sorry
ever go
for
out?
bugging you yesterday. Here's for my sorrow.
If you ever get out, you can spend something. Get a house.
Thank you. What was your name again?
Mimi.
Mimi. Thank you, Mimi. These may come in handy at some points, but do you have anything to eat?
Oh yes, I'm Oreos.
I might-
What are Oreos?
They're cookies.
I would love a cookie.
I have a banana. I seriously do. And I have
A banana sounds delicious.
here's a banana.
Thank you.
Here, you go.
So he takes the banana and the cookies and he sighs. He looks tired, but at least he's got some food and some new food that he's probably never had before.
Do you like
And,
the Oreos?
and he says, "They are very tasty. Thank you.
What about the banana?
The banana is delicious.
The
Thank
Sour
you."
Patch Kid.
And he says, "Follow me. It will take us a couple of hours to get to the lights at the center of the town." So you decide that you do want your ponies, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So you go get Tiny Ginger, Bacon, and Amaretto. And Jed doesn't have a horse or a pony, so he's just going to have to walk on foot next
Hey,
to
do
you.
you want to ride on Tiny Ginger? I
He's
could walk.
he's far too large for your pony.
Tiny Ginger's like,
So he leads you through town, through this city. It's a city, not a town. It's a city that looked like it could have held at least 100,000 people at one point in time. So it is huge. It's gigantic. And as you get further into this ancient dwarven city, you start going through areas of the town that are more run down than the other areas, either through tremors, earthquakes, other disasters. Some of the buildings have been collapsed. Some of the bridges and structures are just worn away with time. And so he has to take a couple of side routes around some of these structures that have collapsed, some of these bridges that are no longer there. And so he's not able to take a direct path to the sunlight, and that's why it takes a couple of hours to actually get there. And during the walking, Jed looks contemplative, and as he's walking, he looks back at you and says, "So, how you know me?"
It's a long story.
You'll find me in
someone
about
trans-
10 million years.
Someone like put us through a portal thing, which led us to a snowy area, which then we rode our ponies and we found this place. We become really good friends in the future. So
How did we become friends?
we saved you.
Yes, you would have gotten killed.
Saved me from what?
Jail.
Ponies.
It's good Foley work. So what did you save me from?
Being killed.
Police.
From what?
These people were going to kill you because, well, I forget the reason, but
Yeah, that was about a year ago.
but they were going to
Didn't you
Kill
convince
you
someone
for,
to
like-
execute it?
they were going to kill you for like
Well, he was in jail. He was arrested for
Yeah.
making a ruckus and
Well, you
being
were making
drunken and disorderly in that town.
you were being drunk and making a lot of noise, so they sent you to jail, which they were going to kill you for.
Drunk. I've never had alcohol in my life. That doesn't sound like me. Do you have any alcohol on you?
Yes.
I would very much like to try some.
Okay. I only have a couple.
And now we know the source of Jed's drinking problem.
Okay. Open your mouth.
Having to put up with us on
Let
ponies.
Here you go.
He stops, looks at you quizzically, and then opens his mouth.
This is him. He's like, and I'm just like,
And you pour the whiskey in.
and then I stop it.
Okay.
And I say, shut, swallow.
He gulps. His eyes get a little watery at first. He's like, that's not bad. I could see why burns a little on the way down,
It does actually.
but it's warm now
Does beer
in my
Does it-
belly.
Does it actually do that?
Sometimes.
Yep.
That's good.
And he's like, but I could stand to have more of that. I could see why I might partake in that a little too much.
And then you get really silly, and you can go to jail.
Yep, that is what happens when you drink too much.
Oh, and
Distracted easily. You
Very easily. Yeah.
I don't know why.
might lose your way if you're bringing people somewhere. So let's cut him off on that.
And Jed, in the future, where we are at, a fortune teller told us that you're gonna have 3 kids.
Really?
Yes.
3. I would be very blessed to have 3 children.
What?
would you name them?
I don't know. And he continues on walking, leading the ponies. Finally, you reach this area of where there's bright shafts of sunlight that are coming down from the ceiling. And it all shines on this large open area with huge walls built up around it. Picture a huge, wide open football field, like a professional football field, of where the walls go up about 100 feet, stone walls surrounding this. And there you can see some portcullises and windows that are in the walls around it. And there are some large doors on each of the walls entering in, but Judd leads you to the one on the southern side of this huge open stadium.
It's open and there's sunlight. Did you say?
There's sunlight that's
Okay.
shining in it, and there's lots of vegetation that's growing it, but it's sort of just random vegetation.
Yeah.
So that it looks like that there may be some crops and things that are in there, but it's been overgrown by weeds and other random vegetation that have come in. But also on top of that, there also does seem to be quite a bit of muck and garbage, and from where you're at, you can actually see some skeletons and remains of animals or creatures.
Is there dog skeletons?
Roll an investigation.
Are there any unicorn butts?
there's any dragons. Or, no, magical items.
14.
14 for your investigation. Okay.
Okay, 17. And then 19.
Okay, so what were you looking for?
If there's any magical items or there was any dragon bodies.
Any dragon bodies? Okay.
Unicorn butts.
So Galaxy, you move forward and you peek in through one of the doors, and you do see what looks like a small rib cage of
Unicorn butts.
some canine, some dog, some wolf. What looks like is a rib cage of a smaller animal that was killed in here. And Mimi, from where you're at, you don't see any magical items or any like remains or anything of a dragon, but you can't get into this area any further than the doorway, because as soon as you got that far to start looking around and investigate more, Jed held out his hand, his large clawed hand, and he stops you. He says, Mimi, this is where the creature lives. We must be careful. It's called an Otyug.
Actually, what?
Otyug.
How will we know it's near? Is there any telltale? Does it smell bad?
It ambushes its prey, so it's hard to tell where it is until it attacks.
What
But
does
this
it look
is what
like?
we need to kill. I should say, this is what you need to kill.
What does this look like?
So actually, I need you to roll roll a nature check, and I'll see if you know what an Otyug is
17.
well enough to describe what it looks like.
Sorry, that was a very bad roll. I got a 10, including my add-ons.
15.
Okay, so Galaxy and Dave, they know what an Otyug is.
No, I should know. It's just I
I'll
wasn't
take
thinking.
I'll take a stick and I'll just try to draw it in the mud down there.
Dave and Galaxy, you know that it is a
I'm not
large.
thinking about it.
They're describing it to you because you don't know what it is.
No, I know what it is, but I
No, you don't.
forgot.
You forgot.
I forgot.
Okay. So they remind you that an Otyug is actually a three-legged beast. It's a large creature where half of it is a mouth, a gaping hole of a mouth with 8-inch long teeth, row after row after row. This thing is an eating machine. But on and around its mouth, its head is eyeless and earless. And it's got tentacles that shoot off of it that are covered in claws and suction cups. But
Gross.
in the middle of those tentacles are its eyes and its ears and its other sensory appendages. So it uses these tentacles to see and find its prey, and then also to capture them and then feed its ginormous mouth with the prey that it catches in its tentacles. So what do?
I sit.
You sit down.
I think
Jed
we
looks
should-
at you and says, "So, this is what heroes from the future do."
No. I'm meditating.
Okay.
I have an idea. Let's use our ponies as bait. Okay. That's out. What
I'm
do you
trying
suggest?
to meditate. I'm trying to meditate to get numb.
You should be a little careful about offering up a plan of where something is bait
Let's do
with
my-
these two,
Okay.
because
Let's do
more than
my
likely
teddy bear.
Dave will end up being the bait.
Right.
I love my unicorn. Let's do my teddy bear.
No.
My teddy bear.
No.
Do you have any? Does anybody have any spells that could speak to creatures?
I can speak to creatures.
Maybe we could
Could
talk.
also summon them, because then you'll think it like a hologram.
I'm going to turn into a dinosaur, and then I'm going to cast a dinosaur.
Well, you'd have to summon dinosaur first and then turn into a dinosaur, because you can't cast spells while you're in your
then
animal shape.
What spell is it again?
Summon animals, I think.
What type of dinosaur do you become?
An Allosaurus.
They big?
Yes.
Big enough a halfling could ride
Summon
on it?
animals.
Yes.
I totally would like to do that.
Sorry, I think it's not called summon animals. Is it like Conjure animal.
Conjure animals. Yes, that's it.
Okay, sure. I cast it. And then you see me turn into a dinosaur. And my dinosaur's name is Clarence.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to try to hop on Clarence.
No, Clarence slapped you with its tail.
What?
Hey, Mimi.
I dodge it.
Mimi. I punch Mimi.
No, then I step on you.
You can't punch
Dad,
Mimi because
how tall
Mimi
are
is
you?
Clarence.
I'm a dinosaur.
Oh, you are?
Yes, you're a dinosaur.
I want to climb onto you. I climb on top.
Okay.
Slap you.
Where are we going with the dinosaur? What's happening?
No, me and Clarence, we run out as bait.
So 2 Allosauruses
You're
are now
risking
within
your
your group.
life.
And Jed looks wide-eyed, and he goes, "What happened to Mimi?"
And then I say, in a
You
very
can't
deep
talk.
voice,
She turned into a dinosaur.
You can't talk in your animal
turned
form.
It
into
just
a
sounds like.
dinosaur.
I push out Clarence out as I tell Clarence in dinosaur talk, go and be bait. You will live. You are a magical creature.
All right. So you send. What's your dinosaur's name again?
Clarence.
Clarence. All right. So you send. So you turn into an Allosaurus too, but you're gonna stay at the entryway. You're not gonna go in right away with him. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Maybe.
So you send Clarence in, and he gives a little chirper, and he takes off running very quickly because these are fast-moving creatures, and it goes bounding into the vegetation, into the muck that's in this room. Not this room, inside this huge open lit up area. And it runs about 20 feet inside, and it starts sniffing.
You mean Clarence?
Clarence does, yes. What did I say?
You said it. I didn't know if you were meaning about the monster
No.
or him.
I meant Clarence. So Clarence starts sniffing and it slows down and starts walking more carefully, and its head is bobbing up and down as it's moving around. And can the 3 of you roll a investigation? Wait, actually, no. I want a perception check. Perception check from the 3 of you.
18.
A natural 20!
Natural 20?
16.
All right.
Remember how I got a natural 20 climbing up a tree?
So, Galaxy, you are the only one in the group that sees this, but near the Allosaurus, near Clarence, you see this tentacle that at first you just thought was like a tree branch or something until you started seeing it move. And then it slowly opens up, and you can see the razor sharp claws that outline the edges of this tentacle, and you can see 3 orange blinking eyes in the middle of this, and you see these eyes and this tentacle slowly turn and start to track Clarence as it's moving through the area. Dungeons & Dragons & Daughters is a proud member of the Black Party Podcast Network. Check out our other shows such as the Dungeon Masters Block, the GM Showcase, Geek Wars, and more.